Today, we're going to be talking about working with wall coverings that have vibrant colors. With the vibrant colored wall coverings, be it especially on a natural or a textile, you need to be a little extra careful, right, Dennis?
Absolutely.
You want to treat the material a little bit differently to ensure that you have an incredible installation. Dennis, talk to us about some tips or tricks to help ensure when you have a vibrant color like this fantastic orange color splash here. What are some tips and tricks when you're installing this?
Well, first and foremost, you want to be a little bit neat. And secondly, you don't want to be over aggressive. And by that I mean some installers will really work on the material and use maybe a plastic smoother and go over it and be really aggressive with it, particularly seam areas. And what tends to happen with these materials with the dark colors, you'll open the weave up. And what happens when you do that, now you're looking at the base material, which most of the times is white. So you'll see these little gaps of white.
So Dennis, to avoid any overworking of the seams, one is I heard you say don't use a squeegee.
Right.
What are we using? Are we using a soft brush?
Soft brush.
Awesome. So we're going to use a soft brush. And when we are brushing it, are we going side to side? Are we going up and down? Or what do you recommend?
Well, that's a good question because you can stretch it out going vertically. I do sometimes lay it in very lightly this way, but more than likely I'll go with the grain and lay it in so that I'm not accidentally doing that, which is what's going to expose in between the layers and show the white.
And what happens if you use a seam roller here aggressively?
It's going to either do the same thing or it's going to flatten it there. It's going to show one way or the other. It's either going to be flat or it's going to again open up the grain.
So what I hear Dennis saying, you guys, to get a really great install when we're using some of our bright colored weaves or grasses, one, you want to make sure that you work slowly and you don't overwork the material. Two, you want to make sure you're careful with the equipment you have. Make sure you're using a soft brush, going with the grain, not against it, and then no squeegees. And also, even be careful with seam rollers, because on a vibrant color, if you're using a hard seam roller, you might create some shading or paneling issues. It might look like lines in the material. So after we've installed it, we've been careful not to overwork the material. We used the correct brush. One of the questions some people have sometimes asked me is, do I color the edge? Is there anything time that you'll color the edge on the side of the wall covering?
I almost do it every time.
Oh, you do?
And a product like that, I would use a colored pencil, but I have chalks, I have markers, all kinds of different colors.
He has it all. So good to share, you guys. For a product like this, one of the things we want to be making sure is that you do have your full tool case of colored pencils as well as all the other materials. And we leave it to you to decide what's best for which wall covering. For the color splash, Dennis loves our colored pencils. So Dennis, let's talk to everybody of, okay, they rushed ahead. Maybe they didn't get the installer they wanted, and now they have to fix it. Or now that installer says, wow, I overworked some of the material. What type of steps can we do to help fix it if the material was already overworked?
Well, the problem is going to be that they probably opened up the grain of the material, or they literally wore the color off the surface of the material. Either way, the fix would probably be colored pencils again, mainly because you could probably simulate that color better in a pencil. You don't have to worry that it's going to wick if you put it on the surface of the material, and it would just be the way to go with something like that. But I always suggest to try it on a scrap piece, if not only to make sure you got the right tone, just to get the technique of how hard you have to press, how sharp do I have to make it, is it going to fit in between, and then once you get that technique, you could do a pretty successful repair.
I love that. So if you do run into trouble, please, I hope you followed our instructions and the wall covering instructions of hang 3 strips, take a look, At that point, if you're having any issues, use the colored pencils like Dennis said. Otherwise, even better, start playing with a scrap piece, seeing what works best. Using the correct technique that you just heard here, hopefully the rest of the room will look amazing. And now you know how to help fix this situation and how to do it right. So with that, we'll see you next time.